Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back. I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you that are sharing this with your friends. That is probably the easiest way to get them introduced to the infinite banking concept, to Farming Without the Bank book, is to have them listen to the podcast. And it's so funny that people are like, I don't read. Well, you don't have to read because it's in audio. So if you've not gotten the audiobook, I have had a lot of people tell me too, they've listened to it 3 times, they've listened to it twice, they've listened to all the podcasts, they've got both books on audio, they've listened to both of the books. And man, oh man, I cannot tell you what a difference that makes when they come into the free consultation, an hour and a half meeting. They're ready to go. They understand the concept. Nearly every single question is answered. Very rarely do I get questions because I'm pretty much already know where we're going. But that listening to the book, reading the book multiple times, whatever makes a big difference. So thank you for tuning in. If you've not gotten the audiobook, do that. Okay. Today, we are going to talk about being an honest banker. And I talk about this a lot, but I don't think I talk about it enough. And I've really run into it. The last couple of weeks, I've had just a lot of meetings that I've had to bring this up over and over and over. And I don't know if it's I wasn't paying attention before and people have always been doing it, or if it's just something that I'm seeing a lot of right now. But if you've read my book, if you've read Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash, you will hear us talk about being an honest banker. Meaning, if you borrow money from yourself, aka use savings, you need to pay that back plus interest. And so what I've been seeing is that people are putting money into their new startup. So they're working off the farm and they're putting money in. So we've got capital investments going into a farming operation. I don't care if it's cows. I don't care if it's an acre of garlic. I don't care if you're planting sunflowers, wheat, corn, whatever. If you are putting cash into that business, that is a capital investment. You must pay yourself back for that. When I started my business, I put money into the business. My accountant said that is a capital investment. You can take that out of the business to pay yourself back when you start making money. If you are going to be honest, if you didn't have the cash, you would have gone to a credit card, you would have gone to a banker, you would have gone somewhere to get that money. So be honest and pay yourself back just as you pay somebody else back. And I was talking to a client about this, and he really just looked at me like I was kind of off my rocker. Like it's such a different thought process that it takes some time to get your mind around it. And I said, stop thinking about it as a payment. Yes, Mary Jo lent money to my business. My business must pay me back in the form of a payment. But what am I really doing? If I took money from savings account and I put it into my business and the business pays me back and I put it back into my savings account, it's a deposit. It acts like a deposit, right? Because it's going back into the savings account. It's a payment on the business side and it's a deposit on the personal side. You can call it whatever you like. don't let the terminology trip you up. It is basically a savings account deposit if you are paying yourself back to a savings account. We all say, well, we don't like payments. Well, where is the payment going? Not all payments are bad. If I'm making a payment for land, I'm okay with that because I've got some land. But be honest with that cash. That is why we talk about the fact that, if you're willing to go to the bank, you need to be willing to pay yourself that interest rate. If you've taken money from savings, why are you not paying yourself back 5%? Are you being honest? Because if you put a capital investment into that business, I don't care what business it is, if you put a capital investment in and that business isn't paying you back, well, are they making enough profit to pay you back? If they're not, what are you doing wrong? Because if that money came from the bank, you'd have to pay it back. Another thing I've seen a lot this week is we're renting ground at a discount, or we are using we're using dad's equipment and we're leasing it at a discount, or we're using their equipment for free. And there's going to be something worked out in the future that I have to buy that new piece of equipment because I get to use this one for free. Okay? That is absolutely fantastic that you are getting ground at a discount, and mom and dad, grandpa and grandma, neighbors, mentors, whatever, they are helping you out. That's absolutely fantastic. But if you were going to be honest, you need to say, what is the going rate for a piece of leased equipment? What is the going rate for rental ground? If I had to buy a piece of equipment, what would that cost be? Because the farm still needs to make enough money to pay the correct amount. Why? Because someday those benefits are going to end. And then you're going to go, oh, well, shoot, I'm not making enough money. This farming is awful. Why would anybody do this? You need to make sure that you are reflecting the true cost of operating. And so, again, this confuses people. But if I am paying dad less money for ground, then I need to pay him, I need to charge more, right? So let's just say dad is charging me, whatever. Land rent is crazy. It differs across the country. So let's just say that I'm paying $10 an acre for land rent, but the going rate is $30. So as a new farmer, we say, sweet, we made a profit of $20 an acre. Great, we made a profit, but if we had to actually pay $30, we would have not made a profit maybe, or we would have made less of a profit. So what I want you to do is say, okay, I'm going to pay dad the 10, but I'm going to pretend like he's charging me 30, and I am going to take that other 20 and either put it in a savings account, or I'm going to start a life insurance policy with it, or whatever it is you want to do with it. I don't really care. Just make sure in your operating costs, you're reflecting the true cost of operating. And you're not operating on a discount talking about how awesome it is so that you're making money. Because someday you're going to need to pay for that. And if you're truly putting that in your books now and you're saving it and utilizing it correctly, you will have the money you need to buy the next piece of equipment. You'll have the money you need to take over and pay the full rental cost. So because you're getting something at a discount, that's fantastic. Make sure you are putting that true cost in your spreadsheet, in QuickBooks, whatever. And again, when I told somebody this, they said, but he's not charging me that. Why would I give him that extra money? You don't have to give dad the extra money. Just make sure that it's in there so you understand that that's going to go to you. I don't care how you separate it. If he doesn't ask for it, great, fantastic. Make sure that in your books, it looks like you gave it to him or you're charging extra for it, or I don't care how you code it in your books. Make sure you are being honest so that when the time comes, you have a profitable operation. Because if we're profitable on a discount, what the heck? How is that going to survive long term? You're setting yourself up for failure. I don't operate because somebody gives me a discount on something and go, okay, that's great. No, I have to figure that I'm going to have that cost, right? This would have been the true cost. So being an honest banker is not just borrowing from the policy and paying ourselves back plus interest. That's what Nelson talks about in his book. Being an honest banker is always making sure you are charging yourself the correct amount of money. And here's another thing that I've run into the last couple of weeks is that we have cash sitting around, but we're going to the bank to borrow money. Why? Why are we going to the bank to borrow money when we could be borrowing that money from ourselves and using the cash? That seems silly to me. Let's not do that. Use your money. If you have enough liquidity, use that. I met with a great guy yesterday that was 24, good job, no kids, no wife, house is paid for, so very little expenses. And he's sticking a bunch of money into a 401k. I said, do you plan to work there forever? No, absolutely not. I want to farm. Okay, then why are you sticking money into a 401k? Use that liquidity to buy the land that you want to buy. And if you have to use the cash for the down payment, pay yourself back. I've had several of these in the last couple of weeks. If we are going to use cash for something because we can't get it into the policy first, pay yourself back. And that payment back to yourself becomes your premium payment. But don't just assume that we paid cash and now we're up and running. No, that's a capital investment. It must be paid back plus interest, because guess what? You would have paid the bank interest. Well, what if I can't afford 5%? Then make your payments longer back to yourself. Instead of paying it back over 10 years, make it 15 years. I don't care if you can't afford 5%, then why are you buying it? It's just a forced savings, people. But don't short suit yourself and think more of the bank than you do yourself. Really? Why? You give them far more credit than where credit is due. If we just had this one thought process, this one thing that changed, imagine how much more money we would have. If you are a cash purchaser and you are buying vehicles, you automatically, if you bought a vehicle with cash, it's most likely because you saved up the cash to do so. When you were saving up the cash, did you figure out how much the payment was going to be to pay yourself back plus interest? If you would have just done that, you would have more money in savings for the next vehicle. And again and again and again, how much more money would you have just because you paid yourself interest? We're so worried about giving the bank interest, but we never are concerned about short-suiting ourselves. So if you're getting a deal from mom and dad, a neighbor, a mentor, grandpa and grandma, I don't care who the deal is from, be honest to yourself, be honest to them, make sure that that capital investment gets paid back, make sure that you're recording those operating expenses correctly so that if something happens, you now have an opportunity to take over and know that your operation is being profitable. Because if it's not being profitable, why are you doing it or what are you doing wrong? If you're in the business of going backwards, you better either take a look at what you're doing and figure out what's wrong or just not do it. And if you're going backwards, it's probably just something you're doing wrong. I had a guy last week that said, 3 years, we've personally been paying for the land, and it's not made us any money. I'm not marketing correctly, right? Because he listened to the podcast with Tim Bickett a couple podcasts ago about marketing. That's huge, huge. What are you doing that could be done better? Utilizing cash is huge. We are utilizing our money incorrectly, and we have been for hundreds of years. So then what? We go to the bank. For the last 100 years, we've gone to the bank because we're not utilizing our money correctly. And we're not utilizing our money correctly because nobody tells us how to utilize our money, and nobody pays attention because it's stressful. So instead of being stressed out a little bit and learn something, nope, we just ignore it. Well, that's not going to help. Now, I know all of you listening don't do that, or you wouldn't even be here. But that is what you are up against with mom and dad, grandpa and grandma, kids, right? Neighbors. That's what we're up against. I talked to a young person, and his dad had zero interest in learning about farming without the bank. The kid bought 4 books. Dad is 49 years old. Zero interest in learning about this. Will not talk to him at all about any kind of transition. Why? Why do we have to be so ornery about it? He's sharing the information. If you don't want to read it, at least shut up and listen, for God's sake. Right? At least if I don't want to read it, I will listen to it. But we're so close-minded, we won't even do that. Completely blows me away. Anyway, that is that little tangent. But things I have really seen a lot of, and I just wanted to kindly remind you to be honest. Pay yourself back. Where am I going to get the money, Mary Jo, to start a policy? Well, how much stuff are you paying cash for? Have you paid yourself back for any of that? That's a good place to start. A very good place to start. That payback can go back into a life insurance policy as premium. Okay, if you guys want information, if you are on Facebook, which the majority of you are, because that's the majority of how you found me, most people are. If you are on Facebook, Thursday evenings at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, I have been doing weekly reviews of client meetings. Who I've talked to, what we've talked about, what people are doing, things I'm seeing through the week. I have had a lot of people liking those. So if you go to Facebook, Farming Without the Bank, go to notifications and say, I want to be notified when Mary Jo goes live. There's the notifications thing. Yep, you want to be notified. But tune in Thursdays at 8:30 because I review the week. If you want to go back and look at what I've already done, I have 3 of those, and I plan to continue to do those. But they're awesome. So tune in there. People also are asking for more information. We just put up, well, not just, but a couple weeks ago, I had a farm finance conference in Nashville a couple years ago, and we recorded that conference. If you want to listen to that conference, you can get all the recordings in my store. So if you go to farmingwithoutthebank.com and click on store, the recordings of that conference are in there. It was an amazing conference. Nobody was selling shit, right? They were just providing really good, solid information that you were able to walk away and do something with. All finance related, estate planning, all that good stuff. So be sure to go there if you are wanting more information on stuff. Those videos are fantastic. Otherwise, that's it. You guys, that's it. I don't have any other dead horse to beat today. So keep that in mind. Be honest. Don't steal the peas. Get your own bank started. If you don't know what any of this means, get the Farming Without the Bank book If you still don't know what this means, read it again and get Becoming Your Own Banker. Then we can sit down, have an 1.5-hour consultation. Yes, that is free. The gentleman that I talked to yesterday said, "Oh, I didn't expect you to talk me out of more premium." He's like, "In a free consultation, I expected you to talk me into more premium." No, folks, that is not how I work. We need to make sure the premium is correct for your situation. So I am not just here to sell. I am here to teach. In fact, I'm not here to sell at all. I am here to teach 100%. And so if you want to be sold to, you might want to go someplace else. But good information for you to know. Schedule your appointment. I've not looked. I still think I'm at about 4 weeks booking out, 4 to 5 weeks. So as soon as you get the book, you're going to get emails with a link to my calendar, and you are going to want to go on and schedule. Okay, if you guys need anything, want me to talk about anything, email me, maryjo@withoutthebank.com, message me on Facebook. You can watch all this stuff on YouTube, share it with your friends, whatever. Doesn't matter. I do appreciate the fact if you share this podcast. I really, really appreciate that. People seem to be a lot more receptive to that, but we have to get the word out because we're losing family farms and we've got to start doing something different to save them. Okay, you guys all have a fantastic rest of your day. And we will talk to you again in the next podcast. See you later.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.